It's pretty late in the evening and it's raining. It is maybe one of the first days of winter. It's a little bit chilly and rainy. So now we know that the good weather is over, but it's okay. So I'm very happy to be with you today. I'm sorry that 1 week ago my program could not go on because I was not really feeling very well, but here I am up and running with two beautiful ladies with me, Teri Angel and Ruth Anderson. Thank you for being in my program, and it's really an honor to have you with me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Syl Ver. Thank you for asking us.
Yes, we're honored to be here.
Yes, and I asked these two beautiful ladies to be with me because I would like to talk about a subject that is a very sensitive issue, and I did not feel talking about this issue all by myself. So I knew that Ruth Anderson and Teri Angel did a meditation on suicide, which is a very, very sad and tragic event for many people. And now with the COVID epidemic, unfortunately, there has been a surge in the number of suicides around the world. And this was true for my distant family as well. So two people unfortunately took their lives. Both of them were suffering from severe depression. And of course, the fact of being locked in the house, not being able to work, or without probably family members around, of course, sped up their decision to take their lives. And it is really unfortunate that many people suffer from clear diseases that change their thoughts and their behaviors, and in the end they take their lives because they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. They don't see any treatment really working or being really supported or even understood by people, because I think depression is one of the diseases that is not really taken very seriously or understood by doctors, including doctors. And doctors believe it's just a mental illness, while it's actually an organic disease, which has incredible symptoms, and people really suffer even if you don't actually see the signs of the disease. Many people have chronic diseases. They suffer from diabetes and have to take drugs all their lives. But diabetes is a well-known disease, and so it doesn't have any stigma. But unfortunately, depression or other mental disorders or impairments also carry a stigma. And so people don't even want to say they're depressed because they are afraid. If people say, oh, you're depressed, you're crazy, or you're depressed, you're strange. So they are even marginalized even more, while they would need, great support. So that's why I wanted to tackle this issue. Also because, unfortunately, two tragic events happened. And I really felt the need to talk about this because I think this can be of help to many people.
Well, in Syl Ver, we had gotten that same guidance to have the conversation about suicide and folks that are feeling really despondent for our meditation on Sunday. And so Teri and I invited in the archangels, and we had the conversation about reaching out to other folks, but really how to hold space for somebody who's going through that and just love them unconditionally for what they're going through right at that moment.
Yes. Yes, I think that the support of spiritual beings, of beings of light, is so important. And of course, spreading this message is absolutely relevant. Unfortunately, many people don't have the habit of having any relationship with them. Even religious people sometimes don't know how to really relate to celestial beings in general. They're like distant figures. They may be able to pray, even have deep faith, but sometimes the daily relationship with these wonderful beings is not really there. And I think that we should really encourage children to create the relationships with this magic world of the quantum field, with elementals, with the energies of nature, with angels, with any other beings, because we are not alone, and that this is great, even if you are physically distant from other people, or we are never alone, which is great comfort to know. We always have somebody we can go to, and we can actually confess anything and talk about anything, open our hearts without being afraid of being hurt or betrayed or judged. Isn't this wonderful? And I see that many people do not have the kind of anchor. They don't have this kind of feeling. It's not even faith. I think it's a feeling. I think that it's so important to help people develop these feelings.
I totally agree, Syl Ver. I've been connected with the angels my whole life, and they were my rock when I was a child. That was who I got love from. That's who I got acceptance from. So you're right. If we can just start sharing with our children that they have the availability of the spiritual help, it makes a huge difference. It made such a difference in my childhood.
Yes, absolutely. It actually makes a great difference. What do you think, Ruth?
Well, I have no question. I think especially during this time where the whole questions about COVID and why is it here and what does it mean and why are some people getting so ill with it and passing from it and others are getting it and they're fine. There's so many overarching spiritual questions, I think, about the virus. So I think a lot of folks are hopefully turning to their faith, turning to others. And I think they're also respecting life a little bit more, I think. I'm getting that impression from folks. Mm-hmm. But I do think too, Syl Ver, that there are a number of people who are believing, I didn't sign up for this, and I don't want to be here for this.
Yeah, I think that many people actually totally reject the idea that the world can be disrupted by an event such as this, and they cannot cope with that, or they don't want even to adapt. They only see the negative part of what is happening, which is, of course, is very negative because many people are losing their lives. And I'm so sorry that you lost your mom out of COVID. And it is true what you said, that this is a very, very strange disease because some people get very sick and others, don't have any problems with that. It is a very strange situation. Which is actually forcing us to adopt new lifestyles, new paradigms in terms of work, in terms of social relations, but also in terms of what life really means. Because a couple of days ago, I was listening to an interesting lecture, and the guy said, now even breathing cannot be taken for granted. That's true, because the virus is actually hitting one of the most fundamental and vital functions of life, breathing. It's true. Not even breathing can be taken for granted. So I think this is another reason why, if we're still here talking about this, we should be grateful. We should be grateful that we're able to breathe. Isn't this amazing? I think nobody would have ever thought about that. Even 1 year ago, it was unthinkable. It was really unthinkable.
And it's like we're living a bad movie.
Yes, very bad movie from certain viewpoints, but also I see a lot of changes coming for the better. On a planetary level, on a level of evolution. And it is true that many people are leaving the planet, either intentionally or not intentionally, through this disease or through its consequences because of economic problems, and people may have heart problems because of loss of jobs and loss of family or whatever. And all this is happening, but it's also true that living through this moment, I think, is really revealing. And many people are turning to the craziest things, incredible conspiracy theories with the most incredible absurdities, or even religious people. There was a religious man in Italy saying that COVID is the work of the devil, and that once again people should repent. It's almost the end of the world, and so on and so forth. We are in the Middle Ages, so that there are so many things going through, but it's also true that I think people are actually changing their approach to life. I see this every day. And so what life really means, and this is probably what people who have depression and who are about to take their lives don't see anymore. They don't see any real value or meaning in their lives.
Or that anything is going to change. I think that's the thought process too. It's like, if I decide not to do this, will anything change? And looking at the situation going on and not seeing any hope that it will change for the better.
Yes, absolutely true. I think that probably many people go through moments in their lives in which they were about to, or they were thinking of taking their lives, but they didn't for many different reasons. And probably even these people might have gone on if they had found at that particular moment something to hold on to. And I really feel so sorry for these people, because I imagine that they feel so lonely, and they feel so desperate that that they no longer see normal life for them anymore, whatever normal.
Yeah.
But anyway, what life according to them should be, and for them, everything is disrupted. Relations and feelings, thoughts, personality. Of course, depression also changes cognitive behaviors and cognitive abilities. So we are no longer who we used to be. So it's really, I think it's really scary.
Well, and Syl Ver, I think one of the things to avoid is our reading into why we think they did what they did. Because I know of two people myself who did pass, and it looked like suicide, and neither one intended to end their life. But because there was no note, people just took what they thought was evidence and made the story that, oh, they must have been so miserable that they took their own lives, when things were dug into a little deeper, it was realized, no, they had no intention of taking their own life. So I think just trying to not create the stories around what we think they might have been going through.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's the consequences of suicide for people who remain are really, really hard. Right. Because people who go through the experience of suicide of a loved one or one of their family members or even friends is really very painful and full of guilt, because many people feel responsible. I say, oh, I should have done that. I should have being with him or her more. And unfortunately, I don't think we're able to save anybody. We can be there to help, but I really don't think that there is any guilt involved on the part of the people who are around these individuals. And but I know that because this happened in my family, and that after one episode of suicide, I mean, the whole family, had an incredible crisis because um, there were many guilty feelings, and also feelings of helplessness. Um, and the questions were, what could I have done better? I mean, why did this happen? Why did we not notice anything in advance, and so on and so forth? And this narrative went on for years. So I know that this leaves a lot of problems behind in the families and the people around. And I think that even the people who remain should be really helped, should be really supported in order to overcome the grief and also this sense of helplessness, of frustration, of guilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and many times they're reluctant to reach out for that help and for that comfort out of just what you were saying, feeling the shame, feeling the guilt, and thinking that others are going to be judging them because they're judging themselves. So won't everybody judge me? That attitude, instead of just really allowing the love to come in from loved ones, from those who care and those who know that, there's nothing that could have been done. There was nothing that could have deterred that. If it was going to happen, it was going to happen.
Yes, it's true. And I talked about this with Anaya Olile, and she suggested I should read a book by a mother who had lost her child. I don't remember the title, but it became a very famous book. And the child was able to communicate with his mom about his life after he passed away. And apparently, I just read some pieces here and there, and I think it's also very interesting. And I think I am not really in mediumship. I actually don't like it myself. But I think that it would be so great for people who've lost loved ones or friends to know that they're still around. Mm-hmm. And they're going on through their life, whatever it is, in any form that they may be experiencing that kind of life, and nothing is lost forever.
Syl Ver, can I tell a story about a session that I had done for a grieving mother? She came in and sat down. She immediately started crying. And she shared with me that her son had taken his life about a year before. And as she's talking to me, I sensed and saw her son sitting next to her. And he literally, like, Teri's the mom, and he was like this, and the words he was saying to her, which I had to tell her because she couldn't hear it, he was saying, "Mom, stop crying. Stop crying." He said, "Don't make my entire life about the moment that I died." He said, "Remember me for who I was, not for how I died." And he said, "There's nothing you could have done to stop me, because I would have just turned around and done it at a different time." Mm-hmm. He said, "Don't try to take that power from me by thinking you could have stopped it, because you couldn't have." But his really strong overarching message was, don't define my life by how I died. Define my life by how I lived.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But did you tell the mother about this conversation? And was the mother relieved?
She was so relieved.
Yeah.
She was so relieved. And then he shared with me ways that he had made himself evident to her, and she could remember those times. And so she really did realize, and she reads energy as well, but she was sort of blocked from being able to see that herself. She really realized that she didn't lose him. She lost him in the physical,
right,
but she didn't lose him in the ethereal emotional bond. He really was still there for her and for the other family members. And that did bring her a lot of relief.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sure that this is absolutely possible, and that people should be encouraged to look out for messages, look out for emotions that they may feel. I feel a lot my mother around me. She passed away in July, and she was actually born on October the 22nd, 1922. And my life now is filled with 22s. Can you believe it? I go to a place and there is maybe room 22. I got a new, I found a new wonderful writing place, and the team is called 22. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I mean, it's everywhere. And I know that it's just her way to say, here I am, I'm still here. And nothing is really lost. Isn't this amazing? And even though I miss her very much, sometimes I wake up in the morning, so I have to call my mom and talk about this and that, because this is so natural. I mean, I've had her for a long, long time. I was fortunate, and then I say, no, I cannot do that anymore. But I can do something else. I can actually talk to her, and I do, and it's amazing. So even people who lost loved ones or friends through suicide should be encouraged to do that, to reach out, to go beyond fear, the fear or the guilt of that moment, as you said, the moment of death, because it doesn't matter how we die. It's just a passage. But yeah, this is something that should be encouraged more. Yes, personally, I don't know how to do it because I'm not in mediumship at all. But I think that there are many people who can really help these people out, to express their feelings and to really reach out for the good things that these people have left them. So their lives, their memories, their love, their moments together.
Yeah, and just bringing it out to the table, because it's not talked about, it's not discussed, and it goes back to that aura of shame and guilt surrounding it. And there really isn't anything to be ashamed of. There's nothing to feel guilty about. So the more we can bring that information forward and let people know, we can talk about this. We can hold discussions such as we're doing right now. And the meditation that Ruth and I did over the weekend, it needs to come out because there's so much of it going on right now. So just imagine all those hurting families that feel like they don't have any place they can go to express themselves, or to even know that other people are hurting just as much as they are from losing their loved ones.
Absolutely.
It was suicide or, just through death. They can know that they have a safe place to go to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah. I know. And it's really important. And I think that spreading these messages is so important, because people are really thirsty for these pieces of advice, let's say, or I mean, things can be very simple sometimes. They're not complicated. It's just talking about these things that is so important. This happens to me all the time when I, have a new student or have, conversations with people who are already on this spiritual path. and how much people want to share, how much people want to know, how much people want to grow and progress and see other things and experience new things and this new energies that are coming. And I see there is a lot of interest in that, because so much is missing here. People know that there is something more, and they look for this. They want to really have the possibility to access these resources, and yeah, that's very important. That was very important for me.
Mm-hmm. You know, Syl Ver, I think it's important that somehow we shift how we view death to that of a transition.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for me, when my mother got COVID, I asked the angels, and I work with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael and Divine Mother a lot. And I had asked, as had Teri, is my mother going to pass of COVID? And the answer was no. The answer was a resounding no. And for the first week, she was fighting it. And then the second week, something switched. And I said, okay, wait a minute. You told me she wasn't going to pass of COVID. This is looking like it might go that way. And what I heard was passing of complications of COVID. And you had heard the same thing about my mother. Well, just the other day in meditation, when I was hearing we should be talking about suicide, Archangel Michael showed me how my mother used her free will to decide she was ready to go. She, for a week, had done well, and then she had decided, I'm not eating, I'm not drinking. And she took that step of her own personal power to say, I'm not doing this. And literally, I was shocked to hear it. The nurse said, yep, I put a bite of food in her mouth and my mother spat it out, which is not my mother, right? And never has my mother spat out food. And then they gave her a drink of water and she swished her mouth with it and spat it out. And my mother had decided, I'm not doing this. So really, my mother expedited her own passing. Now, do I see that as a suicide? I don't. I see that as she used her free will up until the end and decided she was done. I don't see any religious persecution on that whatsoever.
Of course not.
Right.
No, we have free will, and many people know when their end is near. I think my mother sensed something, because this was the first time she did not book her holiday, and she decided to stay in Rome. And when we asked her and say, why did you do that? It's very hot in Rome. She never gave a definite answer, but one day she said to me that she was tired, not physically, because she was very strong until the very last breath, I have to say. She was 98. She was still up and running a lot. Can you believe it? She was considered eternal by the family, because I've never seen her sick in my life. Never seen her in bed ever, not even one day. So she had 8 children. So she had an enormous family. But she was a formidable person, and with an incredible amount of energy and a very sharp mind, right to the last moment. And but she said, I'm tired. I don't think she was referring to COVID or to, she was referring to the fact that probably she realized that she had had a very long life, very fulfilling life, and probably, she was about, she was ready to go. She went in the most amazing way. a human being can leave the earth. But I think that this is what she wanted, because my grandmother actually died in front of her like this. And she said, they had been at dinner together, and my grandmother said, oh, I don't really feel very well. And she passed away. And this is what happened to my mother as well, just in 1 second. And we say that this is the death of we say that the death of the people who are believed to be just, as are believed to be almost, chosen. It's a way of saying here in Italy. But it is actually true. And her death did not leave behind any, yes, pain, of course, yes, but no despair, no sense of real loss. We all share the same feeling, all of us, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. She's still very much here with us.
Well, I am just reminded of the amazingness of the soul and the soul's journey. And when my mother passed, because of COVID, I couldn't go in, and I sat outside her window. Teri spent time with me outside her window, and we just held space for her. But about half an hour before she passed, I closed my eyes and I checked in with her energy, and I could tell she wasn't, her soul really wasn't in her body at that moment. And I could see where it was. And it was like in a different dimension close by, but not right there in her body. And I could see her soul surrounded by other loving beings, and they were preparing her for her transition. And I saw one of them was anointing her with oil. And so when they gave me the opportunity to go and sit with her at that point, and I said, thank you, but no, because I would have to totally gown up in all of the personal protection and then quarantine for 14 days. And I said, no, because she's not in her body anyway. So that would be for me. That wouldn't have been for her. And she literally passed about 30 minutes later. So there's so much about the soul that we don't understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. We assume because we're in a body, that person's soul has to stay in their body and we can't let go of them, kind of thing. But there's so much that's happening.
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
And also you had given the message to her through the nurse that it's okay. It's okay. I'm not going to hold you back. You do what you're going to do. And that was when she said, okay.
Yeah,
that's
she was out.
Yes, it's really the experience of my mother's death, because she died in my house and in front of me and my sister. And a second before she died, that was a very strange feeling. I felt that there was a portal opening, and she had not even spoken yet, because she said, oh, Mom, my mind is spinning a little bit. I feel dizzy. This is what she said without any pain. She says, oh, strange, I feel dizzy. And then she looked beyond the tree and she said, Dad, with the air, what are you doing here with this expression?
Right.
Actually, my sister did not even hear that. I don't believe that probably she said anything, but I heard it. It was very clear to me. And at that point, she just closed her eyes and she went. But a split second before anything happened, I felt something had opened. I felt so strange to say, there's something here. I just felt it like a portal opening, and she went. And it was just sad, but also amazing that 1 second you're here, another second you're no longer here, but you're still here. So it's just really strange.
It is. The day that my father passed, I went into his apartment in the morning and I could feel a being in the upper right-hand corner of the room. And during the day I would check in, and then I felt 2, and then I felt 4, and then I felt 6, and I thought, okay, something's really going to happen here. And my father passed away a little bit after midnight. And right after he passed away, I checked in the corner of the room, and they were all gone. Mm-hmm. So they were clearly just there
there for him,
transport him.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think many people who care for terminally ill patients have many stories like this to say. Mm-hmm. And well, death before was something that happened in the family, so it was not so distant. Probably people were more used to that than we are today. And so for us, it's still something very unusual, because now life expectancy is pretty long. Mm-hmm. And people are not so sick anymore, just especially before COVID. So if you think that, in the past, people would die for pneumonia, even in their, young age, many women died of delivery during labor. It was incredible. So the life expectancy was very short. And so we're quite distant from that. But I believe that it is important to allow people to feel that their loved ones are still here with them. Mm-hmm. And to look out for messages, to look out for any kind of relationships we can have in the realm without a body. Because we are, this is what I always explain to my students, we are in our bodies, but we are also not in our bodies. If you think you are in the Caribbean, you're there. You can actually feel the water, the seawater on your skin. You can taste food even if you're not eating. So we already have that power. There are people who can actually go out of the body whenever they want, in a very conscious way. I'm not able to do that, but during sleep, probably we travel.
Right.
And with our thoughts, we can be anywhere. Sometimes if I'm bored with the work I'm doing, I'm in Polynesia. Why not? I'm just lying on a beautiful beach and swimming. And I actually feel the sun on my skin. So we already have that possibility. People never think of this as an out-of-body experience, but we can be in different places. Mm-hmm. We have that possibility. So why not? There are also beings, who were able to, have this kind of bilocation. So especially mystics were seen at the same time in different places. For me, it's not really strange. But other people say, "Oh, that's impossible." Why? I mean, if you can be in a place without your body, with your thoughts, you can also be in another place, even with your other bodies. Why not?
Why not?
This is amazing.
It really is. And I've heard that the brain doesn't know the difference if you're actually having that experience or if you're visualizing it. That is
no difference.
You're going through that.
Yeah. I saw many experiments.
Yeah.
I saw many experiments in which the experience that you actually make, physically, for example, a gesture of holding something in your hand or thinking you're holding something, the brain paths exactly the same. So there is actually no difference for our brain. So we can conjure up any memories, and you can even, smell the perfume of something belonging to your childhood. And you go back in time, you can, go forward in time. So we have the possibility to travel through time. Mm-hmm. We already have that possibility. So I think that these are interesting subjects for many people, because many people are stuck in this three-dimensional existence, without any escape. And that is really frightening, because we are multidimensional beings. So we know in our soul that we are able to be in the Caribbean at the same time as being here or there. If you think about us, you are in America, I am in Rome, and we're actually talking.
Mhm.
We are from different time zones. I mean, my grandmother would have never been able to do that. And we're able to do that thanks to technologies, and new technologies are coming.
Mhm.
Amazing technologies that will allow us to, do many, many things. To
Well,
use holograms, for example. I love that.
Yeah.
Syl Ver, have you ever had a situation where you met someone and you thought, I know that person, when
Of
there's
course.
no way you could have met that person?
Yeah. No, yes. Sometimes this happened to me. Yes. People I was sure that I had already encountered on a deep level,
Mhm.
on a soul level. Yes, this happened. Or places. I remember that for a long time. And this was really frightening for me. For a long time, when I saw pictures of a certain period of time in Rome, I was crying.
Mhm.
I was crying because I remember the places. I told my mother was really shocked to say, but this place was not like that. And she said, what are you talking about? And that went on for a long, long time. Then it stopped.
Mhm.
But I remember I was so nostalgic about a specific time in Rome. No idea, but yes, I met some people that probably belong to that existence, or others that belong to other dimensions. Yes,
Teri and
absolutely.
I've been talking about those things, and we've been calling them alternate lives.
Yeah, yes. We actually don't know what kind of lives we had or we are having even now,
Mhm.
because when we are dreaming, we may have lives in other dimensions. We may meet other beings or people. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yes. Isn't this fascinating?
Yes.
This is one of the things I always ask before going to bed, that I can travel safely. So I ask my angels to, especially Archangel Michael, that if he wants me to travel,
Mhm.
that I travel with his protection. So nothing happens to me during these night travels. Yes, I love it.
I remember one time our family went to Mexico, and I walked into this bathroom in some resort, and I was absolutely floored. Where'd she go?
Oh, can you hear me?
There's you. Are you
Yes.
still there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go. My computer got very strange all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh,
That was weird when you started telling that
Yes,
story.
that was weird. So I walked into this restroom in this resort, and I was absolutely astonished because I had been there before.
mhm.
I had never been there before, but I had been there before.
Right.
I was thrown off for days
Yeah.
because I didn't have that understanding about energy
Yeah.
and how it worked.
Yeah. No, I know. There are many, many instances we have this deja vu experience that we know we have been at that place before, for sure. And we don't know how, why, when. And that's amazing. Yes. And this happens with people as well. That I mean, people who resonate with us, we don't know why. They may belong to our family from another dimension.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So life is so abundant in any possible way that I think that this may be also an important message to share with people who suffer from depression. I heard about a very interesting theory about depression. Depression isn't actually a lockdown disease, not lockdown, the lockdown that we have for COVID. It's actually a disease in which your energy implodes inside. And so you're actually locked down with very little energy inside. And you're not able to actually share that energy too much because you're so afraid of, losing that little energy you have that you're actually locking yourself down. And that's typical. The body language is exactly that. People who are depressed tend to have this kind of lockdown attitude with their back, and they actually look down, and because they have to defend that little amount of energy left. And so this doctor said that he had used for years a simple technique, in addition to many others, that was really helpful. So he instructed his patients to walk for at least 10 minutes a day in the sun with this kind of attitude, with the open chest and looking up, even though it was very difficult for them to do that. But the fact of just opening, the chest was giving to the brain the message, I'm fine, I'm breathing, I'm alive, I can take the sun. And this also was very beneficial to these people. And because of, you are no longer in a lockdown position, you are in an open position. So there are so many things that I think traditional doctors do not know or do not perceive, that this is the reason why many people are not treated properly, because they need a kind of multifaceted, multidisciplinary approach, not only drugs or psychotherapy or that, but just a whole range of measures that can help these people, absorb energy again, share energy again, and feel better. Even the body attitude is so important.
So what I'm hearing you say is really to look at it multifaceted and look at it from a medical standpoint, but also a spiritual and energetic standpoint.
Absolutely. Yes. But I think this is true for all diseases. This is even cancer. If you think about it, medicine has advanced so much, but cancer is still killing a lot of people because it's a multifactorial disease, and stress is maybe a trigger. So the immune system is clearly mediating all of these things, and there are many interesting approaches now that are being tried with people, and energy techniques are very powerful. One of them is meditation, clearly. Other spiritual practices, but actually other energy techniques that allow the body to let go of many negative thoughts, stress, toxins, and especially being able to channel the energy is so important.
Right. Well, that's so much of what Teri does in her practice, between Reiki and time heals, and yeah.
Oh, sorry, you say Reiki. I practice Reiki as well, but what about the other?
It's called Time Heals. It was a channeled energy clearing modality that the angels and the ascended masters brought through.
Oh, how interesting. Can you just tell me what it is very briefly, because we are approaching the end of the program.
Absolutely. So what happens is the angels and the ascended masters that work with the energy come in, and while the practitioner is holding space and feeling anything that's going on with the person that you're working with, they do a clearing of all the chakras from the crown down to the root. And then after that, they bring up a chi ball of energy and put it back through and wrap that person up to continue the healing. So it's just the beginning of opening up all of the energy fields for the healing, the complete healing to take place.
How interesting. I imagine you have many examples of interesting results obtained through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have many testimonies. And I also train people to do the modality, and I train people how to train others to do the modality.
How nice. Oh, nice. Okay, one day I want to know more about it, and we may have a program together.
Yeah.
Sorry?
We'll do a session so you can
Yes, so that would be great. I mean, I'm not too much in healing. I'm not I have not explored that capacity myself. However, I met many healers in my life. And I want, in fact, to do a program about a healer whom I met only 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago. And he is no longer in this life, but he's still healing a lot of people. And I don't know whether you've ever heard of Bruno Gröning. He was a healer from Germany who passed away in 1959. And his teachings are very simple. And he teaches a very simple technique to channel light, the energy from the universe, that he calls Heilstrom in German, which means the energy from the universe. And the energy channeled through him is so powerful. And it's really a very potent healing energy. And many, many people receive a lot of healings through him still today. It is not always easy to talk about him because the teachings are generally spread by a circle of friends. And so you have to respect a lot of rules. So I can speak about it. I am in the community without any active roles, but I was, let's say, initiated in that community. There is no money involved. You can actually leave and go whenever you like. So it's not anything closed. But they don't want people to practice Heilstrom if the people have not been, accepted in the community, let's say. So I cannot do that. But I want to talk about him because the energy through Bruno Gröning is really powerful. And so people may be encouraged to look on the internet who he was, what he did. And if they want, they can actually join their local community. There are local communities everywhere in the world. And I was actually introduced to the figure of Bruno Gröning by an American lady, an American spiritual practitioner, Anna LaRae. And because I had a very, very difficult business situation with one of my business partners. We were in court, and apparently there was no hope of ever finding a solution. I was pretty desperate at that time. I was a little bit stuck. And so one day I was talking to her. I was actually asking for a suggestion to say, why don't you ask Bruno Gröning? I said, who is this guy? I've never heard of him. And he said, she told me what I told you. So I went on the internet and I was pretty amazed. And what really struck me was his photograph. I mean, his face is so peculiar that I sensed that he was not from this world, that he was actually not.
We're looking him up online right now.
Yeah. And his photo was so mesmerizing, at least for me, that I really felt attracted, that I wanted to know more about this person. So this is what I did. And I joined their, prayers and, sometimes, community teachings. his teachings are very similar to the teachings of any other master, or, teaching love of, especially handing over problems to him so that you're completely free of these problems, and getting this incredible amount of healing energy from the universe. Very simple, nothing so. And in addition to him, I met other interesting healers, and what I perceived is that they channel the same energy, which is the energy of light, the energy of love. And so the source is the same. It's just the modality that is different. So even among traditional doctors, there are people who are more sensitive, who can actually are guided when they make a diagnosis or when they provide a treatment. And even in traditional medicine, there are people like that. And it's always very interesting. And yeah.
Well,
So,
this has been really interesting, Syl Ver. Thank you for asking us to be here to have the conversation about suicide. And it's really enlightening where we got to with the talk of souls and the talk of alternate lives, and even Mr. Gaining, such an interesting thread that we followed here. Yeah.
Yes, because everything is connected, and there is no separation in the quantum field. We're all connected. Even people who are no longer with us can actually heal us. Even St. Francis. I mean, I know people who've been healed by St. Francis, animals that have been healed. So it's not necessary for these individuals to be here on Earth to heal humans or animals, or no, it's like angels. They're not in a body, but they can do wonderful things for all of us. We have to ask. I always tell my students, just ask. People are so, they have difficulty in asking. I had difficulty too. I don't know why. It's so difficult. People say, okay, they will do something for me, but they don't ask, so they don't know what they have to do. Isn't this amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not easy.
Now we're all learning, even us. We're all learning.
It's a lifelong process.
Sometimes I forget asking. I get so much, caught up in something that I'm just, I should ask my angels, and things, might be so much better. Things would be so much easier.
Right.
Sometimes we forget. Yes. So there are many. The final message is, there are so many beings, so many people you can turn to. Do this so that your energy can be expanded and you go back to seeing light and colors in your life. That is my final message for everybody.
Absolutely.
Whatever you're going through, reach out. Help is on the way.
That's great.
So, ladies, thank you very much for sharing the program with me.
Our pleasure.
And it would not have been easy for me to talk about suicide all by myself. In fact, I was about to launch my meeting when I received a wonderful message by Ruth. Oh, can we join the program? I say, wow, that's incredible. The angels have really helped me out.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I
so
hope to see you very, very soon, maybe in person when COVID is over.
much.
Yes, you can travel again.
I see an Italy trip.
Yes.
Oh, yes, please come over. There is so much to see, so much, beauty, and so many even incredible places to visit for people who love energies. To take a lot of pictures of orbs. And thank you for sharing all the beautiful photos on this Facebook page. It's amazing.
That's great.
Good. Thank you so much. And bye-bye from Italy.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye from Colorado.